Hello, true believers. Welcome back to another episode of Michael's Multiverse of Movie Madness. Hey, everyone. I know it's been a long time. I've been on a bit of a hiatus. I deeply apologize for that, but I had a few requests for Spider-Man No Way Home review. They said, Mike, where's your review? Why can't we watch your review? What did you think of this movie, the greatest Marvel movie of our time? Well, I'm here tonight. We're live, and I have my good friend Rupee with me from back in the day. Rupee, say hello to the viewers.
Hey, everyone.
Rupee, so great to have you here, man, to talk Spider-Man, Marvel, and all things awesome. Just to let everyone know, this has spoilers. So if somehow you've dodged this movie like bullets in the Matrix, you need to turn this off right now, run to your local theater, see the movie, and then come back and watch my video and like and subscribe and all those things. So Rupee, man, how's it going tonight, bro?
It's going well. I can't complain, my friend. I'm very honored to be on the podcast with you tonight to talk about Spider-Man.
Hey, thanks for being here, bud. Rupee is joining us as a phone-in guest. We're not going to be able to see him, but we'll be able to hear him. Hopefully, let us know that you can hear us and everything is going good. If you're tuned in right now, I'm going to turn the comments on, so comments should be going live. Rupee, give us a little background, man, of who you are, where you come from, things like that. What planet do you hail from? Give us a daily Google download, my brother.
Of course. So I'm from Illinois, but I moved down here when I was younger. Now I'm just kind of pursuing my career as a digital artist. Yeah, and also on the part-time, I do partake in the Marvel movie madness also with throw in some Star Wars in there too, you know. I can talk about anything Star Wars or Marvel related for hours.
What would be your favorite universe though, overall?
Oof, my favorite universe overall. I'd probably say the Marvel universe right now, just because of everything that's happening / rumored to happen in the upcoming films.
You talking the cinematic universe or Marvel comics, like all around?
More of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The comic stuff I'm into. I usually just stick to YouTube for the information about the comic stuff that's going on in the world right now.
Right. And New Rockstars is the way to go. We both agree on that. You and I actually saw Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters, the Andrew Garfield film, and we didn't even plan it. I just turned around and I said, Rupee, man, what the heck are you doing here?
Yeah, it was pure coincidence. I was talking to somebody at work today, and I was telling them that I was going to be on the podcast with you, and I was explaining that whole situation of we both ended up there, and she just basically asked me, "Hey, so you were at the same movie theater the same time to see the same movie? How did you guys do that?" I go, "I have no idea, but it was just pure coincidence. I sat behind him and I didn't even realize it was him until I looked down and I saw him because we were both making comments throughout the whole movie. It was just a fantastic movie."
I don't know. I hated that movie. I haven't seen it again since that day. I was so angry at that movie. I never watched it again. Yeah, man. Help me remember, though. We've been friends for a long time. That was way back in, what year was that? That was like 2010, right? Because Spider-Man 3 came out 2007. So that must have been like, Amazing Spider-Man 1 came out, what, 2011? 2012? Something like that? I can't remember.
It came out, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out 2014.
2014. Okay. So that's what happened. So we've known each other since, I think we've known each other before that, though.
Yeah,
Um,
we hung
feels
we
so,
we hung out a couple times. Yeah.
so it's been like almost 10 years we've known each other.
Hmm.
Um, so if you've taken my advice and you've jumped off the podcast, we're gonna dive straight in to the deep end. Uh, Spider-Man: No Way Home released. I want to say December 19th, right around my dad's birthday, around December 19th. So it's been out for a month. So I've given you guys plenty of time to go see this movie. I'm now going to spoil it because I've waited a whole month. It's been torture. The internet was gracious. I didn't get to see it when it opened. I had to wait a couple weeks. And luckily, the surprise was not spoiled for me. The last review that I did was for the No Way Home trailer reaction, where I was reacting to the Green Goblin being revealed with the pumpkin bomb. And now, after a month of long waiting, I wish I had a. I'm gonna.
Oh,
Where is it? Where is it? Focus.
oh,
Yeah!
look at that.
Yes!
Pure beauty.
Finally, I actually made this image. These are three separate images I found on Instagram, and I cropped them all together. I said, no, the brothers, they need to be standing together. Um, it feels so good. I actually was gonna just yell out, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, Daredevil. Bro, I screamed louder than anyone else in the theater, and everyone looked at me like, who the hell is that? I'm like, bro, it's Matt friggin' Murdock from Netflix. He's in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, man, it made it that much better to see that the Netflix stuff was being kind of canonized into the MCU. And then on top of that, when um when Matt Murdock came onto the screen in the theaters, because I went and saw it the day it came out, that Friday and Saturday and Sunday in the theaters, and each time it was a packed theater. Every time anybody important came on the screen, everybody in the theater just went in an uproar, applauding, screaming. They're like, oh! So as soon as Matt Murdock came on the screen and everybody saw it, they screamed. And then as soon as he caught that brick, everybody just started clapping. And I was like, oh my God, it's fantastic.
I was in the wrong theater then because no one clapped for that except me. I looked like a crazy person, like I was off my meds or something.
Man, you would think you were watching a football game with the amount of like applauding, screaming from the crowd. It was nuts. And
I,
it was that entire weekend.
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, because you probably kept seeing it with first timers.
Yeah.
Uh, Nah, dude, I haven't been in an audience that riled up since the first Avengers. I think it's been a while. So, dude, like, who did they? So they cheered equal for Andrew and Toby, or one more
No.
than the other?
So it was really funny because going into it, I remember seeing all the rumors and the leaks of them saying Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in the pod or in the movie.
Right.
And as soon as they opened the first portal and Andrew Garfield popped out, the entire theater just went ballistic. But then the second one came out, and you would have thought that it was getting,
Like people
I
were weeping.
yeah, it was. I don't even know how to explain it because it basically like tripled in the uproar than for when Andrew Garfield came on, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh my God, this is fantastic!" And like I said, when Toby popped out, it was even better of a reaction, and I'm sitting there going, "Yo, he straight up looks like he does not want to be there."
He also looked like he did zero prep to his body to train for this movie.
Yeah, they were like, And like when he first popped in, you could tell he wasn't wearing the suit underneath his clothing.
Right,
And then
right.
when they were in the high school, he came in,
He's
and
like,
then they're like, "Oh, are you wearing your costume?" And he just lifts his collar up a little
no,
bit.
no. They were like, so are you gonna fight dressed as a middle-aged youth pastor?
Yeah. Because
He's like, what is it?
that's his Peter Parker.
No.
He's just, a youth pastor. That's all. You can't complain about that.
I like how they're both. I like how they both say, like, I don't make it a habit of running around telling people I'm Peter Parker, which is also kind of a joke because literally every movie he tells multiple people that he's Spider-Man. So in all Spider-Man movies, not just the new ones. So it's a little bit of a it's a truth, but it's really not. It's a joke on themselves.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Out of the three Spider-Men in the movie, which Spider-Man did you like the best?
Well, I'm gonna tell you. New rock stars predicted that they were in the film. They even showed how in that scene where Spider-Man's jumping towards the villains, you
Yeah.
could tell. I don't know why I can't do. You could tell how there was like Electro up here and someone was down here, but
Yeah,
they
the
were.
positioning of it.
Yeah, and then Lizard got punched by like nobody. He got like invisibly punched, and no
It
one.
was Doctor Strange using his magic. It
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
another
Yeah.
Spider-Man. What are you
So
talking about?
they're like someone or something just hit the lizard.
It was the
So
imaginary Doctor Strange hand.
while I knew it was coming, it was never guaranteed or promised.
Hmm.
Seeing Andrew brought out feelings in me I didn't know I still had. And I lost my shit for Andrew Garfield walking across the ceiling. Like, my nana says, "Can you get the cobweb?" He's like, "Oh, you need me to climb? That's what you need to prove? I have to climb on the ceiling, walk." Oh my gosh. I was not at all happy to see Tobey Maguire. I was not. I was like, I can't believe he showed up. I was
Well, like I
worried.
said, when he first popped, like I don't know if the way he was acting, his his aura made me feel like as Tobey Maguire, he did not want to be a part of this project. But he was honestly probably looking at the money and decided to pop in. But I think they all did a great job.
I think Sony or Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi's doing Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. I think
Yeah.
Sony and Sam Raimi made a pretty good deal with him and convinced him to do it. But I didn't like Andrew just brought it. As soon as he walked through, he lit up the energy of the movie. He brought it. And Toby was still trying to do this bashful teenager stick where he sounded like a dorky idiot. And he was all like shy and like unsure of himself. Like, you're a 50-year-old man. Just own it. Just act like you matured over the years and grew up and went through some shit. And now you're Spider-Man. You're not like, oh, gee, I'm afraid to be Spider-Man. Like, no, dude. Like, I was worried he was going to bring down the film with his Spider-Man 3 crap. But in summation, to answer your original question, my choice is Andrew Garfield. He owned the show, and I would say he almost upshowed Tom Holland even, which
I
impressed the hell out of me. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I can totally see that too because I felt the energy coming from Andrew Garfield when he popped in. I
Oh,
felt him. I felt the energy through the entire time he was on screen. Even the look, like out of all of the Spider-Men, like I'm not saying, I'm splitting them between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. My favorite Spider-Man would have to be Andrew Garfield Spider-Man for the fact of the one-liners, like you said. It's fantastic. he brings that magic, and what he says, it just reminds you of like the comic book Spider-Man when he's fighting villains, flipping around and giving the one-liners and pissing off the villains even more because they're like, oh, he said this and now I'm even more angry and now I need to get that darn Spider-Man. And then as far as like the Peter Parker goes, I feel like Tobey Maguire really uh picked it up with the whole like nerd persona and like not having the girl or what anything like that, because for me I feel like Andrew Garfield when he was in the high school scenes felt a little too hipsterish,
Yeah,
and he felt too
an
cool.
outsider.
Yeah, yeah,
Like he had zero friends. He had like no one to talk to.
exactly. If he dialed it back just a little bit, I felt
Yeah,
like he probably would have been able to pull off the Peter Parker aspect of it. But
yeah.
then with and so my thing with Tom Holland is I feel like Tom Holland is the best of both worlds with the one-liners and feeling like the nerdy nerd and like making his own web fluid, being able
And
to
the
function.
stunts too. He does a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah. Oh, and then I didn't even realize this until recently. I saw something that said William Dafoe basically wanted to do as many stunts as he possibly could. So I
At
was like,
60,
yeah,
isn't
man,
he like 70 or 65 or something?
yeah, it's nuts. So for me, my answer is gonna also probably be Andrew Garfield as well, because seeing him again, out of all of the suits, I love his suit because it's the most comic accurate with the eyes, and every time I see him with the bleached white eyes, I just fall in love with that suit.
Yeah, I forgot that they changed the suit because I saw it on screen. And I'm like, it looks. I remember it being brighter blue in the first one, but I guess in the second one they toned it down. Is it because see, I hadn't seen the original one since Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, since it was released. So I forgot what his costume looked like. I remember the eyes, but seeing it on the screen, it was very dark. It was not very well lit. Everything was in darkness. Even Toby's suit really didn't shine, even with the sunglasses eyes that he has. I was hoping they would bring more color to it because Spidey's costume is so colorful. It really sucks they did that scene at night where it's all muted. I would have preferred to have it in the daytime, and maybe some boats and like a news chopper comes by, like, oh look, Spider-Man's fighting, like Daily
Yeah.
Bugle and all that
Well, I
stuff.
mean, you know why they do that in the dark? It's to like save on the CGI cost and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know it's a cop out, but it would have been cooler to see their costumes in broad daylight.
Yeah, because I remember at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he was fighting the Rhino,
Yeah,
and just seeing his bright red and the blue and the white eyes just flipping around the Rhino armor, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. But then that little kid had to be there too, in his little Spider-Man costume. And it kind of took away from Andrew Garfield because you're like, yo, that little kid is adorable in that Spider-Man costume.
no, I don't think it took away from it. And one of my favorite scenes in Amazing Spider-Man 1 is where he saves the kid from falling off the bridge in the car, and he takes off his mask and he has the kid put on the mask. That's a really, to me, that was a really wonderful scene. And that's something Tom Holland, they didn't really do with his Spider-Man. He never really saved kids. He really just kind of just saved people that he knew. They should have had a scene like that. But
Well, I feel like they did have a scene like that in this movie with the woman on the bridge when he kept trying to save her.
with an adult, but I mean, like, Spider-Man's a hero for little kids. They look up to him. If you don't put in that aspect of what a little kid looks like the little kid wearing the Iron Man mask and like, what was that, Iron Man 1 or whatever?
Yeah, Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2.
Apparently, that's rumored to be Peter
Yeah.
Parker.
Yeah, they wrote that in as like because Tom Holland was like, I think I was that little kid in the Iron Man mask. And Feige is like, I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to deny it. I'm just going to let it go. That's fine. That works for me. But oh man, I mean, I just wish the suit because they put a lot of work into the costume design, and then you don't get to see it on the screen because it's so dark. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I will say this about the not the new one that we see at the end of the movie, but the one where Doc Ock puts back part of the Iron Spider suit onto the Far From Home costume,
mhm.
and how he got that gold spider. I was expecting to see the Iron Spider legs pop out. Were you expecting anything like that?
No, but I did get really giddy about Doc Ock's arms versus the Iron Spider arms. I was like,
And
I
then the
nerded
moment
out.
the moment he pulled out the nanotech, it like connected to him, and he starts moving it on his own. He's like, "Oh, look at this! Now I'm in control!" Ha 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 ha.
I did not see that coming from the trailer. I was blown away, and then I was like, oh, Stark Tech, man. Stark can do it all.
Yeah, but
It's
my
just-
thing is this though.
What's up?
So you know how Peter Parker got bit by the spider from Oscorp? Yeah.
Yeah,
In this universe, there is no Oscorp.
no
So the
Oscar.
one question is, where is the spider that bit him coming from?
Speaking of Willem Dafoe, who I looked it up, he is 66 years old. I'm going to mention that scene where Norman is like, where someone else is living in my house. Where's my son? Where's my Oscorp is gone. That was really good acting, and it really sold me like that wasn't a Goblin trick when he said, "Where is my son?" I was like, "Whoa!" I was
Yeah,
like,
he William Dafoe as an actor sells any role that he gets himself into. Because I remember watching the Death Note live action movie on Netflix. That movie was garbage, but William Dafoe played the um, he played the Shimigami in the movie, and he made it. He basically brought his Green Goblin persona to the movie and sold
"Oh,
it. So you were like in love with him. So when I saw that he was coming back, well, even not even just him, when I saw everybody was coming back into this movie, I was like, yo, this movie is going to be fantastic. And in all honesty, seeing all of the past villains from the other movies, I think that kind of clouded my memory of Toby and Andrew being in the movie too. Because I'll be honest, I really wasn't expecting them to be in the movie because I kept putting it out of my mind like it's not going to happen. They're not going to do this. And Toby Maguire would never agree to something like this, but he ended up doing it. But back to the William Dafoe thing. But yeah, so
your original question was what about Oscorp or what spider bit Peter? There's actually a new video from New Rock Stars where they discuss that theory. I haven't looked into it yet. I'm not really interested in that deep of a dive and fan theory of it.
mhm.
Their original plan was to skip over the spider bite, the Uncle Ben dying, and just because it's been done too many times. So I like how they skipped over that and they just picked up. Here you go. Here he is. We're picking up from Civil War. We don't need to flashback. I wish they'd do that for Bruce Wayne. I'm sick and tired of watching Bruce Wayne's parents get murdered. So I'm extremely grateful we didn't have to meet another Uncle Ben and watch him be brutally murdered.
Yeah,
That was
but in
very
this one
gracious
we
of
got
them.
we got to see Aunt May get brutally murdered.
Well, yes, but I like how it was done, though. I like it. They waited to the third movie, and if you think about it, before this, he was just a kid trying to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that was dealing with these like Avenger level threats. but he was also a kid in high school that was like hanging out with his friends and dating girls and stuff, and it was real kind of casual. But I really felt like this was his honest to God trial. The the Stephen Amell Arrow show called it a crucible. He's like, this is your crucible. This is your island. This is your real test of strength. So when she died, man, all of that was out the window. The youthful innocence, the fun, the Disney aspect was thrown out the window, and they were like, here's your real Spider-Man. Here's the one he's now graduated. This is his graduation.
This is him becoming a hero now.
His adult, yes, thank you. Yeah, so I wasn't sad by it, and once she said great responsibility, I knew she was going to drop. I knew it. I'm like, she stood up there for a second. They got her. She's like, no, I'm okay. And I'm like, wait, she's okay?
My thing is this, though. She got pelted by that glider.
I'm like, there's no way she survived that.
To the point where her spine should have been broken. And it should have been impossible for her to have stood at all.
Yeah.
But this woman got up and took like 3 steps, and she's like, oh, let me sit down and let me take my breath for a second here.
No, I knew she was done. I was just waiting for her to drop. I'm like, drop. Ah, there it is. There it is. I knew it. I'm like, they're hanging here way too long. No, so if we're talking about, if we're going to talk about tear-jerker moments, you want to go there?
Yeah, let's go down that road. Let me get my tissue box real quick.
Do I gotta go first, or you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, you go first, man. What was your tear-jerker?
So the first tear-jerker moment for me was the fact that they got denied from every single college that they had applied to. The one that put the nail in the coffin for me was the MIT, and the fact that they just didn't get in for the sheer fact of knowing Peter. And
Ned was like directly involved too, so
yeah. But that it was a moment of like, you're feeling for the characters, and you feel how just unfair the whole system is because of the fact that they were just they weren't even like indirectly involved. I mean, Ned was a little bit, but not to the point of like, they shouldn't have been prosecuted the way that they were. That's what I'm trying to say.
Not to mention the fact that no one could prove that was a false video that Mysterio made.
Yeah, exactly. They should have been able to look into it, because look at the technology that they have.
Fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news.
But
sorry, not to get political. I felt Trump somewhere would be defending Spider-Man. Like, it's fake news.
He was in the crowd. You just didn't see him.
Right. He was not on Twitter, but he would have been. So go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But that was the first one for me. What was the first one for you?
No, I only had one.
You only had one?
Yeah, I'm on it.
So you're talking about like you're saying the one that stood out the most to me.
Yeah, the one that hit you the hardest. What was your
Okay. So the one that hit me the hardest was the fact that he lost Aunt May, and that scene where he's standing in front of the big like was it the telecom screen or whatever that is?
Yeah, the screen, yeah.
Or the Jumbotron, that's what it's called.
Jumbotron, yeah.
He's standing in front of the Jumbotron, and they're just saying how much of a horrible person he is, and yada, yada, yada. And he's just sitting there taking it all, trying to process everything. That hit me on such a level because recently I lost somebody, and so with that, I kind of related a little bit to him,
Yeah, how
and
could you not? Yeah.
it hit me in the feels, man. And I won't lie, that movie left me tearing up a bit. Not only for that, but for other reasons too, in regards to the movie. Because it was just like a wholesome movie. You had your roller coaster of emotions.
Let me just say I'm sorry for your loss. I understand that as well, unfortunately. Um, you and I will definitely talk about that sometime when we're not live in front of a live studio audience. But
Sorry.
no. That was honest. I appreciate you opening and sharing, but I'm sure you don't want to give details over YouTube. So
Nah.
we'll talk about that later. But no, I understand it as well. I went through it in 2019, so I fully understand it. No, man. Once I knew Andrew was in the film, I then knew when Zendaya falls and Tom doesn't catch her, or Spider-Man Peter 1 is what they refer to. I got so confused over which Peter 1, 2, 3. That just, like, I'm ADHD, so I'm like, wait, which one is which? And even they got confused, which is kind of
Peter.
funny. Even they got confused, which was really funny. He's like, I'm Peter too. No, I'm Peter too.
Peter Parker? We're all Peter Parker.
We're all Peter Parker. That was hilarious. I got to get a t-shirt of them with the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other.
But I agree with you on that scene where he caught MJ, because in all honesty,
I wasn't finished talking about it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
So hold on. So I knew that Andrew was going to catch her. What I didn't know, and to back up a little context to the movie, I didn't have multiple crying parts because I'm on antidepressant medication, so I don't cry as much as I used to. It's kind of hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I really get gut punched in the feels, I can tear up. It's just I'm not as emotional as I used to be. There were emotional parts, but the gut punch that I didn't see coming, I knew Andrew was going to catch her, but when he started crying, I started crying, and I'm like the only person crying. And they're like, what is wrong with you? He caught her. She's alive. I'm like, justice for Andrew! Justice for Spider-Man 2! Justice for Emma Stone! I was so in the feels, man. Your microphone got muted somehow. Okay, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, you're all good. All right, so what were you gonna say before I was finished?
With him catching her, I do agree with you on that. That moment was, as soon as Andrew Garfield is an actor, as soon as he started tearing up, like you said, you teared up with him. It's that type of connection between you and, as the viewer, to him being the guy portraying Peter Parker, Spider-Man, just catching her, looking down at her, and just going, not even saying a word, just shaking his head, crying. And she's like, "Are you good?" And he's like, doesn't even say a word. He just nods yes. I was like, oh my God. And
so well
deep
written.
down,
Thank you, Mark Webb, for that moment. Thank you.
Deep down, as soon as that scene happened, you were the first person I thought of, because I remember when we saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Here it comes. Go ahead.
This scene when Gwen fell down the clock tower and hit the ground, it was dead silent in the movie, or in the theater, and all you hear is this guy in front of me go, "Oh shit." That was the PG version of what he said, because he dropped the F-bomb in there. And I was just like, yo, there's children present. And everybody in the theater just started laughing. It was pretty funny. But
I thought you were laughing at it, and I was like, no! I knew it was coming. I knew it was like, I saw it set up, and I'm just like, don't do this to my Gwen. Don't do it.
but this could be leading up to them possibly bringing Emma Stone back to play Gwen Stacy again, but as Spider-Gwen.
We'll go ahead and segue into that now. And this has become a trending hashtag, and it's something that I fully support. I want to know your thoughts about it, but I demand an Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield. He deserves retribution for that piece of crap movie that they made. He's shown that he can be in amazing movies. I think he's winning all kinds of awards or nominated or whatever, but he deserves a third film like Tom and Toby have one.
I completely agree. And I saw it on Twitter as well. And I saw some stuff going around too. I'm sure it was probably fake news or like photoshopped Twitter posts, but it was like saying Sony confirms Andrew Garfield for Amazing Spider-Man 3. But I know it wasn't true. But if it was true, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
But let me run this by you, because my theory about them delaying Morbius is that they might be adding Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to that movie.
I've heard that from New Rock Stars, and I also noticed that the Spider-Man picture in the trailer is Andrew Garfield. It's the big white eyes, like you mentioned, not Tom Holland. So
exactly,
I don't know, and we can't trust Andrew because
I know.
he denied in every interview that he even didn't tell Emma Stone that he was in this, and she was like, "You suck." So, yeah, if he is, then fine by me. I'll be happy. But give me a full length film. I don't care if it's on Disney Plus. I don't care if it's only like 4 or 5 episodes. Do it.
Or give Toby and Andrew their own like little Disney Plus web, or not a web series, but like a Disney Plus series.
Little spinoff. Bring what's her name? Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten
Dunst. Ugh. Yeah, I guess bring her for a little wrap up. Because I swear I saw a video of Toby and Kirsten sitting in Central Park in New York City around the time they were filming No Way Home. So everyone was like, "Oh, they're together again. That means they're going to be in a movie." And I was like, "Whoa, are they bringing everyone back? Like, whoa."
No.
So that would be cool. That would be cool to see, especially how they both disappeared together. It would be funny if they both ended up in like Andrew's universe, and then Toby has to get back to his.
Yeah. Like the whole Spider-Verse thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
here's another thing that they keep leading up to in these MCU movies. They keep referencing Miles Morales.
Miles Morales, a black Spider-Man, says Jamie Foxx. And let's not overshadow Miles, because I'm all for that. I think Tom said somewhere in an interview that he would be okay with the next Spider-Man being Miles instead of him. But it wasn't from a trusted news source, so don't quote me on that.
But this would be the second time that they referenced Miles, because in the, I think,
deleted scenes,
or not even the deleted scenes. It was the first one, Homecoming, when he met Donald Glover's character.
Prowler.
Yeah, Prowler. He ended up saying, "My nephew lives out here, and I want him to be safe." So. Miles is in the Brooklyn area,
He
It's
lives
just a
there.
matter
Yeah.
of when he's going to pop up.
Yep. Definitely. And I feel like that would be more of a Sony project. They would probably not outsource that to Disney because they seem to be keeping anything that they can that's Spider-Man related other than Peter Parker, they're keeping to themselves. So
Yeah.
Morbius with Venom. So I would see Miles Morales if Disney doesn't negotiate something, I would see Sony doing something for Miles. But and it can still be in the same shared universe. Or it could be in a multiverse. We don't know. It could be in the Sonyverse. I guess we're calling it the Sonyverse now. But somehow Michael Keaton is in the Sonyverse, so I don't know what they're doing. They're just throwing curveballs at us. Just love it, enjoy it. Did you see Let There Be Carnage?
I did, yes.
What was your thought?
I it was enjoyable to see it go through as a movie. I should say, entertaining wise, it was okay. As a movie, story wise, I think it could have been better. I felt like it was rushing into the end of it. I feel like it was rushing to the end way too quickly. They could have. I'm not saying dragged out, but they could have made it a little bit. Gone into more detail with the characters that they were introducing, because they really didn't give any backstory on Cletus Cassidy's girlfriend, so you weren't really like attached to her as a character. And then at the end with the detective, you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, his eyes are glowing blue. What does that mean? And they never respond. They never like leave it up to anything or they leave you with no answers and leave you with more questions, if that makes sense.
Well, I think that was a setup for a third movie they're possibly doing. Both those movies are severely rushed because of the heavy CGI that goes into them. They really don't leave much for story or plot, but I like how you said they're entertaining. That's a good way to describe them. They're entertaining as hell. They're funny. I really didn't care too much for Carnage. I didn't care for his girlfriend at all. I just was watching it for the Venom parts, which were hilarious.
Exactly. The post-credit scene is what made the movie worth sitting through it.
But would you say, how did you feel about the No Way Home post-credit scene with Eddie Brock?
So with that, I think it's going to be fantastic, because now we're going to get to see um, the MCU's version of what Venom should look like.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, we're going to get to see Tom Holland Spider-Man interact with a Venom. And I'm so excited to see him don the black suit. It's going to be fantastic. If he's still, like, the costume he made at the end of this movie, if it's going to be like a black version of it, I think they're going to pull it off, and it's going to look fantastic.
Again, another strike against them. They did his new costume reveal in pitch black, so you can't get a good look at it. I am heavily disappointed that they dragged Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, back into the Sonyverse. He was right where he needed to be. He's like, I'm going to go to New York and meet this Spider-Man guy. And then he got dragged back. And I'm like, no, I want to see him fight so bad. I want it. They can't exist without each other. They just can't. It's not fair. Unless Tom Hardy's Sonyverse is the Andrew Garfield verse with Mobius.
Exactly.
Then,
And then in that one, we get to see Andrew Garfield don the black suit.
yeah, but do we really want to do the Venom Spider-Man 3 unless it's like a somehow like a I was supposed to title this episode Web Redemption. I forgot. I got to change the title of it. It was either my brother, someone came up with the title for this episode, Web Redemption, just like the Web Redemptions on Tosh.0.
Yeah.
So it's a double meaning because it's a redemption for Andrew Garfield, but it's also, a Spider-Man Web Redemption. It's a double.
That's
It's a double.
fantastic.
That's supposed to be the title of this episode. I completely spaced. I gotta fix that. I gotta fix that in post. But yeah, man. Unless it's like Sony's redemption for doing a terrible Venom in Spider-Man 3, and then it would be both of their redemptions because it's a better Venom and it's a better Andrew Garfield. So I would not say no to that. And you can't really see my shirt, but I'm gonna just come down here so you get a good look at that. There you go.
Oh, there's our boy Venom.
That's what I had for No Way Home. I wore that for No Way Home. So we got Doc Ock in there too, which is cool. We got Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Venom.
Oh yeah, I see them. Oh, Spider-Man's on there too.
Yep, he's up here.
Oh, you have Spider-Woman too.
Yep. I have no idea which issue this is, but I found it at Walmart and I said, "This is awesome. I've got to have it." It's got Thanos on it. It's got Thanos on it. I don't know why Thanos is there because he can crush all of them, but it's a really cool cover.
And so, what did you feel when you saw the post-credit scene at the end of Venom?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just really excited, because I thought they were going to bring Venom in the movie, and I heard there were rumors that they were trying to work him into the final battle, but it just didn't. It was just too much noise. So that's why they kind of saved him for further projects.
I think it's just funny that he spent the entire time at a bar listening to this guy explain the entire MCU timeline to him. And he's like, so let me get this straight. You had a purple alien come down here who's obsessed with stones. Yes. He snapped my family away for 5 years. Okay, but let me let you know on this. Aliens don't like the stones. They like brains. But with them like snapping him out of that universe again, the one thing I want them to do with the whole Venom is I want them to go down the King in Black storyline. I feel like that would be a great like they don't even have to have it part of the MCU. Let Sony do it. Let Sony make the King in Black storyline. Do you know about the King in Black?
You know what? I am primarily DC Comics. When it comes to comic books, I can talk all day about Batman, Gotham City, and most of the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. I know more characters than most normal people do.
Okay.
So I can talk all day about DC. Now, when it comes to Marvel, because I was so heavy into DC, I never got into Marvel comics. I was introduced through the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The real cool one that had like the whole Marvel universe in it. So like characters would pop in like Blade, Punisher, Fantastic Four, even did a crossover with the X-Men, the original 90s X-Men cartoon. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. You said the crossover between Spider-Man and the X-Men in the comic, or not the comic, the old cartoon?
The 90s cartoon, correct. Like
Yeah,
the
I remember
original.
seeing that. I remember when they first saw Spider-Man and they thought he was some type of mutant and they were like ready to just, off the little guy. And he's like,
Yeah,
"No, I'm not a mutant. I was just bitten by a spider."
he's like, I got 8 arms or whatever. He was mutating through some wacky storyline, but it was still a really cool crossover, and it's the only way that I learned about Captain America. That's why I learned about Captain America, Iron Man. If it wasn't for that show, I wouldn't have known any of those characters. Uh, so yeah,
So,
man. The years went on, and I just buried myself in Smallville and DC. So when it comes to Marvel comics, I've got to refer to New Rockstars because I don't know any of this stuff. So every movie I go into, I'm like
mhm.
brand new, fresh eyes. I don't know what's coming. I knew what I saw in the animated series, which was Venom, Doc Ock, the basic Spider-Man villains, but I don't know the storylines. Like I learned about Gwen Stacy dying just through like random documentaries and research and things like that. But anyways, you can totally tell this King in Black story. I'm interested to hear it.
So with the King in Black, how in the Venom, at the end of the Venom movie, when they were in the hotel room and Venom told Eddie that he's part of a hive mind that's connected to basically the multiverse.
Right.
So that hive mind is something tied to the King in Black because it's tied to the home world where the symbiotes come from. And the backstory about their home planet is that before the creation of anything, when the Celestials were going around creating the universe, there was just nothing but darkness, and they were coming around the universe, and they came across this dude just chilling in the darkness, and they were like, "Yo, what's good? What are you doing?" He ended up fighting them. He ended up killing one and making the inside of its body his home. And in the body of the Celestial, he made the first symbiote in a forge. And that's why they don't like the high frequency or the fire, because they were basically forged as a weapon with like the fire and the hammer, basically how they make the swords and stuff in like the medieval times.
Nice.
And the King in Black storyline, basically that entity that the group of Celestials came back to avenge the guy that he killed, they basically imprisoned him in his own symbiote, and then a planet formed around him. So the
Wow.
King in Black storyline is basically the planet opens up and frees the King in Black, Null. He comes to Earth and basically turns everybody, including like X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, future Avengers, and stuff like, and basically anybody that could be turned into like a venomized version of himself got venomized and basically were part of his army. It was a crazy storyline. Eddie Brock was basically the main character in the storyline. He apparently had a kid, and his kid's name was also Dylan. As funny as that sounds, and
Funny.
it turns out that his son was connected to the hive without actually ever having a symbiote on him. But that's a whole different story we can share for another podcast. But to what you were saying with the whole DC Comics and Marvel stuff, if you I'm the guy to talk to when it comes to Marvel stuff, my friend. So if you have any questions like that, just shoot them my way. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about stuff.
So you saying that you're going to do every Marvel movie review that I do from now on?
Yeah, if you want me to come back as a guest to do the reviews with you, I'm happy to do that.
It definitely helps that you know your stuff and you can keep pace and there's no dead air. It's, we're already at an hour, and even though we've only had one viewer this whole time, it doesn't mean that's the only view we're going to get. People will watch eventually, but I'm having a blast. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me too, man. I enjoy talking about Marvel. I enjoy talking about Star Wars. I even enjoy talking about DC stuff too. I'm in all of the ecosystems when it comes to the nerd multiverse, my friend.
Nice, nice. Yeah. That's the name of my group. Was originally the Justice League of Broward County, where I was trying to bring local people, local nerds together. We used to do movie premieres. We used to go to Tate's Comics, which, if you're in Broward County or Palm Beach and Boca Raton, there's a location. Tate's Comics is your I don't see how you could go anywhere else to get comic books. I'm sure there are other places, but to me, that place is like a local Disneyland. It's just home for me. So yeah. What the hell was I talking about? The Justice League of Broward County, right? We were a little Facebook group, and we do things together. We'd wear like matching shirts, and we'd post memes and news and stuff, and that. We had this one guy that turned Anakin, and he just started pwning us. Like, he just started bullying and what do they call it? The trolling.
Yeah.
He was like the internet's first troll, or at least he was the first troll that any of us had ever encountered. And he made people so angry that they never came back, and I had to delete the whole group. So I don't know. A few years ago, some guy was like, "Hey, why don't you start a group for nerds instead of just sports content?" And I was like, I've been kicking the idea around, and my sister was one who really enjoyed it because her and her kids used to partake in it, and we'd dress up the kids in little superhero shirts, we're like, look at the kids, and people get tired of seeing me blow up the news feed with Batman and Spider-Man. So I wanted a safe place where we can all hang out. We can talk Lord of the Rings. We can talk The Matrix. I'm loosening up on the reins. I'm allowing anime in there now. I'm allowing different things. But the nerd multiverse, man, we talk about whatever it is we love. We even love Trekkies.
Hey, man, the multiverse spans endlessly.
My multiverse does. I don't know about everyone's. Some people are just like, Star Wars is the only thing and it's the greatest thing. And I'm like, it's great, but there are other things too.
Don't you say that. I will cut you. You don't say that.
You're talking about Spider-Man. I mean, I'm wearing a Star Wars hat. I'm not. The Mandalorian is the greatest TV series in the history of television. Okay? I am not knocking Star Wars. I'm just saying there are some extremists out there. The Trekkies are the worst of them.
Yeah,
the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings people are a little wacky, but but we love them. Come on in. Come to the Nerd Multiverse. This is Michael's multiverse of movie madness because I watch all kinds of different movies. I love talking about them, love reviewing them. I am very picky when it comes to what I watch. I ditched the Fast and Furious series somewhere around 8, I think. I've been kind of backtracking, going through them again. I definitely want to see Hobbs and Shaw because that looked interesting. I'm a fan of The Rock.
I did see that movie, and it was pretty good.
Don't spoil it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm just gonna say, for me personally, I stopped watching those movies as well. But when I saw that the trailer for it, Idris Elba kind of sold it for me with the line, "I'm the Black Superman." And as soon as I heard him say that, I go, okay, I'm gonna have to see this movie because I need to see what he's talking about. And I will be honest with you, I was not disappointed at all with his performance in that movie, along with The Rock and
Jason
Statham. Yeah, They both, all three of them, beautiful.
It's definitely still on my to-do list. And generally, if I love a movie and I have to talk about it, I'll do a movie review. Like, I saw Roadhouse for the first time, and I loved that movie so much. I did a review about it. My friend Colin, if you're watching, I love you, bro. He called me up that night. He's like, dude, you're on Facebook talking about Roadhouse? It came out like in the 80s. You just watched Roadhouse? I'm like, yeah, it was on a list of movies, and I said, why not? And I was blown away. I'm like, this is an awesome movie. I did a whole review. It's hilarious. So you never know what. That's why it's the multiverse of movie madness, because you never know what movie I'm going to review next.
I mean,
unless I tell you to show up, because I'm going to do a movie review. But we have skewed into a tangent and a Loki timeline. So the
let's pull it back to Spider-Man.
What's the name of the time police in Loki? What's their names? Help me out.
The TVA.
The TVA is about to show up and reset me, because we've disrupted the timeline of the Spider-Man No Way Home review.
We're gonna be tased, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna be tased. I think I did a Loki review because I was so in love with what's her name, the female Loki,
Sylvie.
Sylvie, you forever have my heart, and I will always follow you on Instagram, because you are an amazing actress, and what a character, what a show. But before we skewed off into the tangent of post credits and Venom, I was going to bring up the villains. We talked about the heroes. Now we got to talk about the villains of the movie. We started to get into Willem Dafoe. So we could start with him if you want, and let's just break down each one, talk about what we loved about seeing these iconic on our childhood, actors who we know as these characters come back.
Yeah. Should we talk about them in the order that they appeared in the movie?
Oh man, you want to go that far?
Let's go right in, my friend. Let's do it.
You can keep track, because I'm not going to be able to remember.
So the first one that we saw was the Doc Ock on the bridge scene, and my reaction, even in the trailer when I saw him, I was like, oh my god, he looks fantastic. And I saw interviews with Tom Holland, and he was talking about shooting scenes with I don't remember what the actor's name is.
Alfred Molina.
And he was basically saying shooting this Spider-Man movie was so much easier than shooting the Spider-Man 2, because in the Spider-Man 2 he actually had the prosthetics Octo arms, and in this one it was basically just all CGI stuff, so he really didn't have to wear that big bulky costume like he did in the Spider-Man 2 movie. And I will say this, his character development in the movie was pretty well paced out, because in the beginning he's like still being brainwashed by the tentacles, because I'm pretty sure he got warped before the fact that he got turned good in the movie.
New Rockstars claimed it was the scene of Spider-Man 2 when they're in that like house that's on the water, that little thing that's on the water.
Yeah.
And he had like Toby by the face, like he had him, and he was about to kill him, but then Toby was like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk to your heart," and then it was like right before he turned good is where they pulled him out from.
Yeah. The way that they explain what they were doing before they got like portaled into this world, it was just fantastic. And when they introduced him, so I'm sorry, I'm like on a tangent. I can't grasp a thing here.
Keep going.
With Doc Ock, when he was, my thing with Doc Ock at the end, do you think he kept the arc reactor when he got teleported back to his time?
Oh, they're talking about that on New Rockstars. He pulled it off of Max, didn't he?
Yeah, because at the end of the movie, he was looking at it in his hand, and he said his quote from the Spider-Man 2, "The power of the sun the power of the sun in the palm of your hand."
Oh, I got chills. I
And
got chills when he said it on the bridge. When he said it on the bridge for the first time, I was like, oh,
yeah,
back in 2004.
yeah, it was fantastic. And even at the end, so when he got teleported, the first thing I thought of was like, did that technology go with him? Because I mean, the arms were I don't know, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing of like, was he holding it or was it attached to him or
Like, what does Spider-Man 2 look like now that Norman Osborn lives?
yeah, that too.
Like, does
You
Harry never turn into the whatever version of the Goblin he was, and Harry never dies now um because his dad never died and he never thought he was killed by Spider-Man, so he just stayed Peter's friend the whole time? Like,
yeah,
Toby's universe is completely different now. I don't know about Andrews because the Lizard was already dealt with and Electro died anyways, and Max didn't really shake up the Peter Parker's personal life, you know.
yeah.
So, but
But with the
Toby's universe is completely different now.
I think it was New Rockstar or somebody else that it might have been an article I was reading. They were saying that either the producers or somebody confirmed that when they were brought back to their multiverse, it created a branch reality. So
Mm,
it's not the one. It won't be.
won't be the ones we knew.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're not. They wouldn't have gone back to the ones that they remember. It's a whole new timeline.
You know
So
what? You could look at it from the perspective of X-Men Days of Future Past, which I just watched recently. So that
mhm.
washed out the original three Spider-Man, or at least the third one, X-Men 3. It washed that out completely, where all the people that were dead in that movie are now alive again. So you could just look at it from that perspective,
Exactly.
I suppose.
Yeah. And
For a start.
so with I felt like the whole Doc Ock story was nicely done. He was his normal angry self until they edited or not edited, they built that mod for his spinal cord thing, and then it released him of everything and he became good again. But I don't like that he just kind of disappeared. He gets thrown out of the building by Max, and then you don't see him until the end of the movie.
But you saw him like glowy vanish, right?
Yeah, you see him vanish
Yeah.
away,
Yeah, but
but
we didn't see what he was doing that whole time.
yeah, so for
Good
all we
point.
know, he could have been going to Stark Industries trying to salvage some tech from there.
Yeah, but Stark doesn't exist in New York anymore because Stark went off into upstate New York in the new Avengers compound. The old Avengers building was supposedly sold to Reed Richards.
Gotcha. Okay.
Supposedly, but they haven't officially announced it yet. There was a scene
Allegedly.
there was a scene at the end of Far From Home when Peter and Zendaya are swinging around the city, and Peter lands in front of the old building where the first Avengers is, and it says "Coming soon, 1, 2, 3," and instead of 4, there's just a question mark. So it's an Easter egg to say that Reed Richards bought Avengers compound, the Avengers Tower from the first Avengers.
And I mean, look at the time frame of when Disney bought Fox,
Yep.
because they said it would be about a 10-year frame until we see anything
Mm-hmm.
mutant wise or Fantastic Four wise. We're getting close to that time frame of them
Getting
introducing
real
something.
close to it. Let me say, what were we talking about? Stark. Okay, we're talking about Doc Ock.
Mm-hmm.
When he arrives on the bridge, I don't know how much you know about movie scores, like the soundtrack to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Elfman's theme from Spider-Man 2 is predominantly played on the speakers when the arms come up out of the ground, and he did a very unique theme for Doc Ock. It was like dun 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 dun, and it's just this menacing theme that's just like this thing is coming at you, and I got chills hearing it because it's been a decade, bro. I was in middle school when that movie came out. And I really wanted to hear more of the Goblin's theme. But I'm wondering if I got to stay focused on Doc Ock. I'm wondering, did they use a de-aging program to make Alfred look younger? Because he did not look as old as he does today.
I mean, it's Disney. Disney has that type of technology.
Right.
I'm sure they did some type of magic to make him look as if he did from Spider-Man 2.
Did you notice that or not? Because I saw him in an interview and he didn't look that much different, but I don't know. I would have to see a comparison side by side to see how much he resembles the 2004 version.
Yeah, the only thing that made me not think it was the 2004 version was the hair. It's the fact that he had like curly hair now,
Longer, curly
and that
hair.
was the only thing that took me out of it. But other than that, they did a good job with making him look younger. I wouldn't have guessed that they made him use the de-aging stuff, but now that I think about it, looking at it, it kind of looked a little CGI'd in like his cheeks and stuff. But other than that, I mean, I'm not going to complain about the way he looked. He looked fantastic in the arms. The CGI on the arms were beautiful as well.
I have to correct myself because I think I just said it was 10 years ago. It was 20 years ago. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. But I said Spider-Man 2 was 10 years ago by accident. It was 20 years ago.
I didn't even catch that. I'm sorry.
Yep, I just caught it, and I'm like, the people watching are going to be like, you're stupid. So, what a beautiful way. I got so excited when they mentioned the chip in the back of the neck that got fizzled out, and Peter's doing his Iron Man thing. I'm going to say overall, I loved the writing of Aunt May encouraging Peter to help his villains, because that's what a big part of Spider-Man is. He knows these villains so intimately and personally that it's not just like Batman fighting the Joker. It gets personal with Green Goblin, but with all of his other villains, he knows that he's got to help them on some level. He knows their personal battles and struggle.
Let me cut in here for a second, which I think is a really cool thing that they did in this movie as compared to what they've done in the previous Spider-Man with Andrew and Tobey. The fact that their becoming hero moments was the fact that they didn't do what they were supposed to do in the moments. Like for Tobey, he didn't stop that robber. For Andrew, he didn't save Gwen. But for Tom Holland Spider-Man, it's the fact that he did try. And that's what I thought was fantastic, because that was a different aspect on the whole. With great power becomes, well, as May said it, with great power, there must be great responsibility that goes along with it. And when they said that, it was a callback to Aunt May saying it for the first time in the comics, because in the comics, Uncle Ben never said it. It was Aunt May who said that. Yeah.
See, that's something Mark Webb would know. That's something Mark Webb was like, this is a wrong that we have to right.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. I just got chills. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when I saw that,
thank you, Rupee. Good job. Everyone watching, give this video a like just for Rupee knowing his stuff.
And just that aspect of him, of his becoming hero moment, was fantastic. It was beautiful. But
I just liked her call him out when he's like, "This isn't my problem. This is not my responsibility." She's like, "Oh, it's not? It's not? You're the only person that can help them, and it's not your responsibility?" I'm like, "Get him, Aunt May! Get him! Yes!"
bring out the soap. Put him in timeout.
No, but dude, I was so I was so proud of her. I love Marissa Tomei. I understand why she's not going to be in any more of the movies, but fantastic, great job. So happy to have her. Oh man. So I liked how they decided to fix the chip in his neck. And leading up to that, I have to plug in my laptop real quick. But I actually remembered there is a this segues into another scene that I teared up at. And would you like to hear what that was, ladies and
I
gentlemen?
would love to hear that. Or I'm sure
Ladies
the
and
audience would love to
gentlemen,
hear
and
it too.
So, the scene where I guess Toby comes down and finally interacts with Doc Ock.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Hey, Doc," or whatever, and he's like, "Peter Parker," and it goes like, dun, 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 dun. And I'm like, ah! I started crying. I was like, oh my gosh! And he's still like, he's like lazy but brilliant. They're like throwing the dialogue in there, and I'm just losing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that movie.
Oh, you're
so
talking
much.
about the end scene where
Yeah. When
he's
they
like,
finally
Peter,
interact,
my boy, how have you
yes,
been?
he's like, Peter, my boy, Peter Parker. He's like, their interaction was so perfect. And if you notice, Toby never once interacts with Willem.
No.
Not once. And I thought that was a missed opportunity. I'm glad that Tom and Willem get to face off, but that was a huge missed opportunity.
Well, I mean, your boy Toby got stabbed in the back.
I know he stabbed him, but they don't have any dialogue together, and that was a huge missed opportunity.
That scene alone made me very angry.
Yeah.
Because from one, you turned your back to the Green Goblin.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Who Toby should know, or well, Toby's Peter Parker should know, you shouldn't turn your back to him because he will cut you. No matter what, he will try and cut you any chance he gets.
Oh no, I totally saw that coming. I just thought Toby was going to die so that he wouldn't have to keep coming back. I thought he was going to Harrison Ford us like another stupid movie. Why do you freaking kill Han Solo, you jerk face? No, but man, I really thought he was going to be dead because he was just like, this way I can put it to sleep and I don't have to come back for these things anymore. Like you said, he legitimately looked like he didn't want to be there. And they gave him very few lines as well. I noticed that as well. No, dude. But it was that interaction with Doc Ock, and when the chip finally, whatever Tom put in Doc Ock, when his eyes, when the arms change color. I learned this from New Rockstars. When the arms are in charge, in control of Octavius, they're red. But when he's in charge of them, they turn white. Like they originally were when the chip was in. So they turn white, and his eyes are like, I just woke up. Where am I? What
the
happened?
Voices, they stopped.
Yeah, I was like, dude, Rupee, I started tearing up. I'm like, we haven't seen the real Dr. Octavius except for that little glimpse at the end. Well, you listen to me now. You listen to me now. And they did that again on the bridge. The throwbacks are just
it was great.
Oh, I love it. So many Easter eggs. So many wonderful things. So Doc Ock comes first, and then our boy
Electro.
You want to do it? No, not Electro. On the bridge. Who comes first?
Oh, well, I mean, we don't really get to, see him. We see the Green Goblin slide in through the fog, but then Doctor Strange zips him back into his neighborhood, which we haven't even touched on Doctor Strange being in this movie at all.
Do we need to though?
No, but
No, we don't.
we'll save that post credit for after we're done talking about the movie, because
You can talk about it. I'm gonna be gone because that was a piece of shit. Honestly, that was
what
garbage.
you're not looking forward to the Doctor Strange movie?
Nope, not even in the slightest.
Did you see the What If series on Disney
Now,
Plus?
maybe a little bit more because I saw What If and there's an evil Doctor Strange. So apparently there's some kind of similarity. And I loved WandaVision. So I am interested to see what she's going to do. But I'm not going to rush to the theater. The trailer did not excite me in the least bit. That's not, if you want, we can talk about that later. But we got to go through the villains first because this is going to be a 3-hour episode.
Fair enough. So the next
it's not big of a movie though. There's 3 Spider-Man, so 3 hours. That makes sense.
There's 3 Spider-Man. There's 6 villains.
We couldn't do this in 20 minutes, folks.
No.
It's just not possible. Anyone that says otherwise, I don't know. Maybe.
No. And so when he went to go look for Electro,
we gotta talk about Green Goblin. He's up next.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can talk about Green Goblin.
We got to. It's order.
Well, I mean, I was speaking of more along the lines of like when they actually introduced the characters, like they get to talk and stuff. With the Green Goblin, he didn't really. He laughed and glided in through the smoke. But
may I remind you though, the following scene after Doctor Strange and all that mess, which I was extremely mad that they took him away because I wanted to see him just go full out and fight. Well, Doc Ock was already taken out of it, but I would have loved to seen Tom fight Doc and Green Goblin at the same time. That'd have been really cool. So I was really pissed that Strange just pulled him out. I was like, no, he's right there. I was worried they were done with him for the whole movie. But the next Willem Dafoe scene we get is a throwback to the original Spider-Man movie where he's taking his goblin mask off and it's hanging on a trash can. And they said this alleyway scene resembles Spider-Man 2 when Peter throws his costume in the trash and walks away. Willem smashes the goblin helmet, which I did not see coming, but to see the helmet interacting with him crazy again, I was freaking out. I'm like, this is it. This is the shit I want to see in movies again. Do more of this.
Yeah, it was great to see him become that like crazed schizophrenic Norman Osborn again. It was fantastic.
Oh, to do what you can, to take what you won't.
It was just to see William Dafoe. Like I keep saying it, but seeing William Dafoe bring back the Green Goblin character was just an amazing experience to see again. It not only that, the scene when he starts to talk all the villains into keeping their abilities and telling them that it's not a curse but a gift.
If we're already getting to when he turns on everyone, if we're just going to skip right to that, because I really liked seeing him as Norman for a long time in the interactions with Octavius, and that was really cool. And for them to talk about how their characters were killed by Spider-Man was really interesting, because now here they are with a Spider-Man. They're like, hey, this guy killed us. We're not gonna help him. You might be right that they get Electro and Sandman before Norman shows up and Lizard's already there.
Yeah, Lizard's already there. I would have enjoyed to see that fight between him and Doctor Strange, because I feel like that would have been really funny to watch.
Me too.
But yeah, when he went to get Electro, I mean, I don't remember, but I don't recall Max ever knowing Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
No, they goofed on that one.
So I'm not entirely sure, because
I want to say that it never happened, but I think at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think Goblin told him that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, but I could be wrong. I'm not entirely sure because I don't remember. I'll have to rewatch the movie to find out. But
I'm giving it a rewatch just to see if maybe I judged it too harshly because of my emotions. But
yeah,
I'm with you. I don't remember that either, and I did hear there was some confusion and controversy over that.
yeah,
Um,
because they said everybody that was pulled in knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and then everyone, it's probably like how New Rockstar said, one of those Mandela effects where you thought they didn't say it, but they actually did say it, and we're all just pulling nothing out of the air. But with him coming in, I'm not gonna lie, I don't. Jamie Foxx's performance wasn't really memorable in this movie.
really,
Yeah, I
I was so. I mean, if you want to finish your thought, go ahead. But I have my own opinion.
yeah, I mean, I feel like he didn't bring much to the table. He was kind of just a villain there to have in the background.
I think Lizard was more the background character. Um, Jamie Foxx brought humor, which this movie got heavy many times, and it was great to have that light-hearted little, and not to be the stereotypical black guy, but he is the funny guy, and he's black, but I don't know if he improvised those lines, but it sounded very much like things Jamie Foxx would say as himself. So it was very entertaining to have him there. And also they wrote him into the story as kind of a ringleader that was kind of like, are you going along with this? Because I'm not going along with this. I'm gonna do me. He's like, I like that city out there and that new energy. He's like, I want it all. And he's like, what? He's like, oh no, nothing, but I want it all. He's like, so the whole time that he's not gonna go along with this. Whereas, it looked like he was gonna fix Ock and then he was gonna fix Norman. You didn't, and Sandman was kind of a wild card as well because he ended Spider-Man 3 on a good note where they reconciled him and Peter. So I would not say he was background. Lizard was background, had the least amount
Yeah,
of lines. I didn't even think they brought the actor back because the end of the movie, when Lizard turns back into Dr. Kirk Connors, it's literally the same scene as Amazing Spider-Man. It looks exactly the same, the transformation. It does not look different whatsoever. And I don't even know if that was Thomas Hayden Church either, because that dude is like 50 or 60. He's pretty old. I mean, his oldest movie I remember was like George of the Jungle, and that was like 1995 or something. So he's not young either.
no,
And it really helped that he was a CGI Sandman because he didn't have to show his face. He could just be, on the CGI character rig that they have, or not even at all. He could have just been like computer model, whatever. Um,
but I like the touch at the end with Sandman where they did show his face though.
yeah, I did. I was happy to see him. I was happy to hear his voice. It was great to hear his voice. And his character as well kind of helps with the story and has a funny moment where he sits on Happy Hogan's couch and he's just like, oh, sorry. He just keeps
He tries to brush off the sand, but leaves more sand on the couch.
That was hilarious. So no, I loved Jamie Foxx. I was so happy that he was there. His new character was really cool with the arc reactor and all that. No, man. I liked the Doctor Strange interface that he put on Peter's costume. I thought it was really stupid and kind of a toy sale gimmick that they peeled off Peter's costume to have that black and gold looking like inside out suit.
Yeah.
It really just felt like we need to sell Spider-Man toys, so here's a random Spider-Man costume. It was
In that movie, he went through the Iron Spider, the Far From Home suit, and then the integrated Far From Home suit, and then this new one at the end. So he went through 4 different suits in this movie. I've never seen a Marvel movie go through that many costumes for one character in a movie before.
Way too much. I mean, if this was his last movie, which Spider-Man 4 has been confirmed by Disney and Sony, but they didn't say who's going to be Spider-Man or anything like that. No details. But if this was his last movie, then I mean, I could kind of understand why he was changing costumes so many times. I'm just glad he didn't put on the original sweatsuit again, because we really didn't need to see that. We don't need to see that again. It's great, but we're done with it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really stupid because it was just for that one scene, and then he was like, "Oh, thanks, Aunt May, for cleaning my spice." I'm like, really? Like, we could have done without that, but someone had a funny scene. Speaking of humor, another funny line Janie had was like, "Y'all just gonna stand there when I'm out here buck ass naked?"
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. So I don't know how you say it wasn't memorable. To me, I was really grateful he was there, and not that weird kid that played Green Goblin in Amazing 2. So I'm glad it was Lizard and Jamie Foxx. But
that would have been crazy to see this Green Goblin, and because basically Norman Osborn took up the mantle of the Hobgoblin in this movie. He was more of the Hobgoblin than the Green Goblin.
That's what people are saying. However, I read an article that said that after the original movie came out, fans were pissed at the creators of the movie for making the Goblin suit look so silly. They said the mask looked cartoonish, didn't look menacing, it looked stupid. Ebert and Roper even like tore it down. They said that Willem Dafoe's acting, you couldn't see his face doing the menacing. I liked it because he lifts up the eyes, and then you can see the Spider-Man. He looks crazy. It's really good acting to only see, like Bane level of acting, to only see the eyes and hear the voice. I personally loved it. I never understood, but I can kind of see the diehard fans were like, Willem Dafoe was doing these faces that resemble the Goblin because, let me see, this is hard to do with reverse camera, but the Goblin looks like that, and he's got, you can see his facial expressions. He's not wearing a mask. You can see he is, but you can see his facial expressions. So
yeah,
they said that's why they did the hoodie to kind of do that elf hood that he wears, and then you can actually see Willem's face, so he looks creepy. I would have preferred him to just keep the suit because I'm a purist.
seriously, yeah.
I'm a purist, so I don't think it was a Hobgoblin thing per se, because Norman didn't turn into the Hobgoblin, did he? In the comics?
Yeah, he like, for a while I want to say he was the Hobgoblin, and then Harry, I want to say Harry took up the Hobgoblin. Oh no, actually, you know what? No, let me retract that statement because I'm wrong. Norman was always the Green Goblin. It was when Harry started presenting qualities of the Green Goblin is when he took up the mantle of Hobgoblin. Because I remember that they had that storyline in the cartoon series that you were talking about earlier, the '90s cartoon.
Yeah,
They had
I
that.
don't. I remember that, but at first the Hobgoblin was just some random dude with Mark Hamill's voice. So I vaguely remember that. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I was just wondering if in the comics, so you're saying in the comics, Norman did take up the mantle of Hobgoblin?
I want to say it was either that or it was his son Harry.
Okay. All right. Well, regardless, it's still Willem Dafoe, 100% fantastic. Definitely brings the crazy, brings 100%. So, who would you say was your favorite villain, or you were happiest to see then? If you thought Max was the background quiet guy that didn't do much, who stole the show and was your favorite then?
The one that stole the show for me out of the villains, I mean, I would honestly say it was the Green Goblin, because he like, I keep saying it, but he sold it for me. He was the one that basically, in the scene when they're at Happy Hogan's place and Peter's spider sense is going off, and
Oh, when he turns,
yeah.
oh.
But my thing was this, like, I feel like the Green Goblin persona was in control the entire time, and he was just playing them. Granted, when I feel he let Norman take over a little bit so that he would go to Aunt
He
May.
says he has a line where he says, "I was watching behind Norman's eyes." He's like, "I've been here the whole time," because he knew everyone. He knew everyone. He knew what buttons to push. It wasn't like, he was in the back seat and Norman was driving. It was like Norman was driving and he was like right in the front seat, like right next to him. So
Yeah, and he saw everything coming, and the fact that he was able to be the one villain to kind of be like, listen, you all are being silly thinking that these are curses. These are gifts. These are what makes us who we are. Embrace them. And then Max was like, yo, I'm about this. Pulls off the little electricity dampener. And then that's when everything started going, a little bit hazy. And now when you say the one-liners from Max or Jamie Foxx's character, it does make sense, because when Alfred Molina's character is like, "What are you doing?" and he just Jamie looks at him and goes, "I liked you better before, Doc," and then throws him out the window, and I was like, "No!" But that's what I'm saying, though. At that point, that's when Doc Ock kind of just, vanishes. You don't know what he does at that point up until the end of the movie when he comes back.
yeah.
But
And it sold that we didn't know whether he was good or bad when he came back. Because of the electricity, we assumed the chip had been shorted out again, like it was in Spider-Man 2. So that was a great setup, I must add. Because you kind of get Jamie Foxx interacting with Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman a few times, and he's like, I don't know, I kind of like it here. He's like, it's got a different. He's like, everything kind of feels different. There's more power. He felt the arc reactor in the other room. He's like, I want that. I don't know what that is, but I want that. And the sound of Iron Man's repulsors coming out of Electro was really cool to hear that. It was awesome.
Yeah, the amount of detail they put into each character was just fantastic, with the like I said, the detail with the sound effects, the way that they looked. Because even when Electro was using his electricity abilities at the end, he even had the electric star on his head from like his costume from the comic books.
Much better look.
But in all honesty, I wouldn't say Jamie Foxx was the worst villain, but out of, like how you said, the Lizard did the least. I would agree with you. He didn't do much at all. If not, the only thing he contributed was throwing Peter back into the building to get his ass kicked even more. And that scene alone where he gets thrown back in and he's just pummeling the Green Goblin, and he's just sitting there taking the punches and laughing, that made me feel so uneasy watching. I'm like, you're making me feel uncomfortable, bud. What are you doing there? But
what made you uncomfortable? I'm sorry.
just the fact that Spider-Man was punching the crap out of Green Goblin, and he's just looking up at him,
taking the punches, smiling and laughing.
No. It was a direct throwback to Toby at the end of that movie when he starts hammering away at Green Goblin, and then he stops when he goes, "Oh, Peter!" and he takes off the mask. He's like, "Peter, please!" And then he's like, "I was about to kill you, dude. The only reason you're not dying is because you're Harry's father, and I didn't know that." So he went to that level. They just stopped it sooner than they let what's his name, Tom, go harder because he killed Aunt May. So they had to let it go.
Oh no. I'm not talking about the end scene. I'm talking about when they're still in the apartment place and they're fighting in the hallway.
Oh, true. But I liked that because it showed that he wasn't stronger than Green Goblin, and he was not going to stop him.
No, yeah.
I liked that.
I kind of wanted to see him go all the way.
It was a very Batman Joker, the Dark Knight Returns moment where Batman's just pummeling away at Joker.
Yeah.
A little too dark for kids, but you can cover their eyes for that part. But no, as an adult, I totally appreciated it. That was a fantastic moment, and really sold. It really genuinely sold that. Like kind of like when Peter goes up at against the Vulture at first. The Vulture is way more like he's smarter, he's older, and he really puts Peter like in a bad place, and he messes him up more than once. So it really put you. Peter was too cocky, being an Avenger, having the Iron Spider suit. It had to knock him down that he wasn't going to be able to do this on his own. And I really loved that oh shit moment of like, I'm punching you and you're just laughing. Like, yeah. I'm in way over my head here. It was good. It was a good moment.
Yeah, I agree with that because, like I said, it did make me uneasy, but I did enjoy watching it because the way that he was just getting into it. And you could just tell that something is obviously unscrewed in this man's.
I think more than getting into, I wouldn't say he was getting into it. I would say he was trying to just put the Goblin to sleep or to bring Norman back. Kind of like when Iron Man is just like on the Hulk and he's like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. It's kind of like, I would say it's more like that than like he was enjoying it, because I don't think.
Well, no. I'm talking from the standpoint of the Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, he was enjoying it. Oh yeah, because he's like, that's the best you got.
Poor little Peter doesn't have enough strength to kill me.
That was so well written. I mean, I think I'm hearing rumors that this movie is up for awards, but I definitely think it deserves nominations. I know it won't win. I would be
upset if it didn't.
I know it won't win because I want it to, and the movies I want to win awards never do. So I know it won't win, but it definitely deserves some nominations for at least for acting. Acting was fabulous. Fantastic, I should say. So we can break down, and I want to mention a solid two of my favorite lizard parts. Mm-hmm. And a subsection would be where Ned is like, the dinosaur can talk. And then there's the funny moment that is like, hey, what's your name again? He's like, Otto Octavius. And they're like, that's your name?
Do you want normal water or do you want salt water?
That was freaking hilarious. I was laughing way more than everyone else was. She was so cute and delivered that line with such innocence, like genuine concern for this octopus person.
So regular water it is then.
And then Hogan calling is like, Peter, why are these like? I don't know how he described them, but
He's like, "Do you have a cyborg in my apartment?"
nobody's like. Each one had a different like funny description. I just can't remember them. But he had me going with that. But my favorite lizard scenes where it was really cool when I realized it was hard to keep track of which Spider-Man was which. I mean, Tom's really stood out because of the iron suit, but Andrew and Toby, other than the eyes, were really close.
Yeah.
As far as the darkness and the colors and all that. So I kept getting them mixed up and I had trouble understanding who was who. So once I realized, I think on my second viewing, that Toby was fighting the lizard, I was like, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is fighting the freaking lizard. That's what I wanted. We wanted Kirk Connors in Spider-Man 2. Remember, his professor is Kirk Connors, and he's missing the arm. And then we're like, give us lizard. And they gave us zero lizard. So I was really happy with that. And I was like, thank you for that. But then they did another flashback to the first Amazing Spider-Man, where the lizard finds Ned and MJ, and they're in the Peter's high school, I guess, their high school. And so the lizard comes through the portal, and then Tom Holland has to come and save them. But they recreated that scene behind Stan Lee where the Spider-Man and the lizard are fighting, which I went like, oh, Stan, we love you, Stan, we miss you. But I'm glad all the little, there's so many throwbacks in there. If you guys caught them without watching the Easter egg video on New Rockstars, I'd love to hear which were your favorites. Please put them in the comments. So what were some of your favorite moments in the big battle, the final showdown? But also, before I say that, you were saying at one point you were saying you were surprised that Andrew and Toby were in it. I think you said, I might be misquoting you, my surprise came from how long they were in there. They came in much sooner. I was expecting them to just show up at the end. I was surprised at how much screen time they gave them and how much they contributed to the story with helping Tom with the death of Aunt May and them working together to come up with the cures for the villains.
Yeah.
All of that dialogue of just like catching us up of what they've been up to. And Andrew saying that his Spider-Man went dark for a couple years. All these things were way more than I ever expect. Because usually when they bring people back as like a cameo, it's very small and it's very short. And you just get this little bit of nostalgia. But we got a lot. We got like 30 minutes, I think.
And you have to look at that as if Marvel is going to probably be leading up to something with them, because they don't do that stuff for nothing.
I don't know. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but let's talk about the final battle here because we're rounding hour 2. So we're going to try to do the final battle and put the little bow on this and see what our next project is. But what were just some of your favorite things about the final battle there?
So the favorite stuff about the battle, I'll go from the beginning. The beginning of it was kind of, a train wreck because none of them really worked well together. And the best part was when they all reconvened and they did the whole Spider-Man meme of like pointing at each other like, what is going on? And Tom's talking about being a part of the Avengers, and
he's like, I don't mean to brag, but I was an Avenger. I fought with the Avengers. And he's like, that's great. What is that?
Is that like a
that
band?
was Toby's best line. That was Toby's
And so at that point, they then, work everything out. And I think it's great how they numbered each other as if they were numbering each other's Spider-Man as if like the community, it was Tom Spider-Man, then it was Andrew Spider-Man, and then Toby Spider-Man was Spider-Man 3. So it was fantastic to see
I thought
that.
Toby was too.
Was he too?
I think he was too.
I
You've seen it more times than I would. I would think you know it, but it's been a while since you've seen it. But
want to
fans out there, if you know it, let us know in the comments.
comment down below. Tell me I'm wrong.
Comment below.
Tell Mike that Rupee's full of it and he doesn't know what he's saying. But and then at that point when they get the plan together, they're like the whole, oh, we're gonna do one at a time and we'll go from there. And like you said, seeing well, before I get to that part, when they all start swinging around the tower and Tom throws the web to catch them both and just spins them to fling them ahead of him. Every time I saw
Like
that in the
above
theater.
He sends them above him, right? Not he like they jumped up. No.
No. Like when they were
Oh,
swinging.
one of them pulled back and then did the slingshot from Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, Tom Spider-Man did a slingshot with the both of them and flung them both up in front of him while they were still in midair swinging. When I saw that, I lost it. I was so giddy. I had a smile from ear to ear, and I was like, oh my god, there's 3 Spider-Men swinging around right now. What is happening?
I just got too much of the Into the Multiverse vibe. And for me, it was like Toby was kind of the older fat version of Spider-Man. Andrew was kind of like the cooler one, but
yeah.
I was
they said that Toby Spider-Man is the 616 Peter Parker, which is the Peter B. Parker that we saw in the Spider-Verse movie. So technically, that was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man that we saw.
I got that kind of vibe, you know. Other than he wasn't fat, but Mark, wait, Mark. If you haven't seen this movie, there's spoilers. Turn off the link, Mark. Turn it off. Don't watch. We're talking spoilers. I know Mark has 8 kids. I know for a fact he didn't see Spider-Man No Way Home. So turn off the feed, Mark.
But then after that whole slingshot thing, the fact of them kind of like individually curing everything, and to see like, and bringing it back to what you were saying with the whole seeing Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fighting the lizard on the crane, that scene was fantastic, because just seeing him because it looked like the lizard was kind of overwhelming him a little bit there, and the fact that Toby's just like, the lizard guy's here, he's fighting me right now. It was fantastic to see everybody interacting with each other. Even the fact when Andrew Garfield Spider-Man comes swinging around and he goes, hey Max, what's up bud? And Max goes, oh, it's you again. You ain't even the shit anymore, Spider-Man. And he got so upset by that. And even the interaction between the 3 Spider-Men when they're I guess discussing the plan and they take their masks off, and Andrew's just like, you guys are so much cooler than me. It's really awesome just have like brothers like you and all this other stuff. And
do you know about that? Where he goes, I love you guys. I just want to
that scene was improvised
by Andrew. That made me like, because I felt that emotion, because we're all like,
because even
Andrew
at that
was kind of
moment,
like the audience for us. He was like, we were living through Andrew, because we were like, we love all of you. You're amazing, literally amazing Spider-Man. And I think Toby actually mentions that before the fight starts. he's like, "Hey, stop with the negativity. You're amazing." And I'm like, "Oh, Amazing Spider-Man." But also that was really a great moment.
Yeah, the whole it's just hard to pick out my favorite parts in that whole end scene because everything that was happening was just so great, and it's hard to just
You could watch it 100 times easily.
yeah. I
Like if it ever becomes a clip on YouTube, I'm just gonna watch that over and over.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I will tell you this: the amount of times I've seen Avengers Endgame, I I know that movie back to forward like the back of my hand because I've seen it so many times. It's a fantastic movie, and I could watch it over and over and over again. Which brings me to this is the fact that for Spider-Man 4, they're gonna outdo themselves. But my thing is, how are they gonna outdo themselves with this movie?
Well, I mean, I think that's where you bring in Venom, is because it's the only way. That's the only thing they haven't done, because this was kind of almost a Sinister Six, so they couldn't really do Sinister Six now going forward. So you got to do Venom, because Venom is a very personal, intimate story. It's very brutal, especially with Spider-Man going evil, which you never see. And it's definitely going to be a challenge of character for Tom. And also, you wonder, will he ever like reconnect with MJ? Will they ever will she like a kind of a Back to the Future kiss, or like opposite Superman 2 kiss with Superman and Lois, where like instead of her forgetting, now she remembers everything. Like, oh, Peter, is he gonna get Ned back, or are we gonna go back to this, Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man that's like, I have to be single to protect my girlfriend from people trying to kill her? Like, are we getting more of that? Because I don't want any more of that. I
I
that.
still
MJ
feel
name.
like I still feel like MJ knows him because even at the end, she's still wearing that Black Dahlia necklace that he gave her. And
Well,
so
she had it on, so she's not going to take it off. She just probably assumed, like, oh, I always had this. Well, I don't know. That is weird. You know what? You're right. That is kind of weird.
so I feel like she still has that connection with Peter, even though she doesn't remember him. And it's just a matter of, like you said, a kiss that will bring it back. And
It's definitely going to be a kiss, or him saying, I love you, MJ. I love you. Because I liked how they said that, don't say it until you come and find me. Like,
yeah.
I really think that's going to be the setup. But like, does she remember before Venom happens, or like after Venom happens? Does Venom learn that he loves Ned and MJ, so Venom is gonna like attack them, or try to get them back and actually make their lives worse? You know what I mean? So there's multiple things they could do with Spider-Man 4, which I know we're gonna have to wait for, but I can't wait. Just give it to me. Give me next year Andrew Garfield, and then the following year give me more Tom Holland. Before he gets too old to do these, please give me more Tom Holland.
Yeah, I want to see more Tom Holland as well. It's funny, work got us all ice cream, so we got an ice cream truck coming in to give everybody ice cream.
Sweet.
I got a Spider-Man ice pop.
Did you really?
I did, and it was
That's
delicious.
Awesome. That's awesome. I wouldn't expect it to be delicious, but because usually you get it and you open it and it's like half melted and like the face is like.
Yeah, but I remember it coming with gumball eyes. They don't come with gumball eyes anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with it.
I would be too. I'd be like, "Yo, bitch, where's my gumball?"
Yeah, I was telling one of the ladies at work. She goes, "Why'd you get a Spider-Man one?" I go, when do you think the next time we're gonna get ice cream from an ice cream truck and not look weird about doing it? And she's like, I don't know. But I
When
mean,
you're a grandparent and you're buying it for your grandchild, so you might get one too. But
exactly.
as an adult without a child, yeah, it looks
Yeah.
super sketchy.
Because I told her, I said, listen, I'm living my nostalgia through this opportunity to get my Spider-Man ice pop again, so I'm gonna do that.
Do
And
it.
she goes, okay, well, now I feel stupid because now I should have gotten the same type of ice cream I got when I was a kid. And I go, see, next time you know.
Missed opportunity. Yep. So do we I always rate my movies, every one that I do a review on, and some of them I do, this is too much TMI, but some of them I'll type out a paragraph and do a review if I don't want to talk about it. But so I want to do our rating of the film, which is everyone can predict what our rating is going to be. But but I'm going to ask you a question before we do that. Now that Tom Holland has had a trilogy, not counting Civil War or his Avengers spinoff, I rate my trilogies because there's quite a few of them, and a lot of them stand out. But if we're gonna go Marvel Cinematic Universe, you've got Captain America's trilogy, Iron Man's trilogy, Thor has a trilogy, and now Spider-Man. And Guardians is going to get one, but they're not there yet. 3 is coming. So where would you rate this as far as Marvel trilogies go, not best trilogies of all time? Do you need time to think about it? Because I can do mine first.
Yeah, give me some time. Come back to me on
Okay.
that. I'm
All
gonna
right.
think about it.
So I always tell people Captain America has become my number one top favorite Marvel character, aside from Spider-Man, because when the Avengers started, Spider-Man wasn't there. So Captain America, Chris Evans, really him and I really hit off on Winter Soldier, and I switched teams from Iron Man to Cap. And I have been Team Cap and will be Team Cap for the rest of time.
Boo.
Nope, Team Cap all the way. So I tell people Captain America has the best trilogy out of any superhero, even Batman. I went as far as Batman because The Dark Knight, I love that trilogy, but they peaked with Dark Knight and then Rises just missed it. I mean, for me, I love it just as much, maybe a little bit more, but as you look at the progression of the 3 films, it fell short, especially with the audience. And it never integrated the DC universe, which was a huge heartbreak for me because I always want DC universe in everything. And I'm so thankful we have it now. But Captain America was brought directly into the Avengers. Winter Soldier had multiple characters from the Avengers. And then Civil War is one of the greatest Marvel movies of our time. Easily. And so I always tell people Captain America has the best superhero trilogy out of any character. Not the best trilogy of all time. That's original Star Wars trilogy for me. But Captain America and Spider-Man, I mean, they're dead tied. Spider-Man's my first love, so and he was introduced in Civil War, so I could give him the go-ahead win, but my heart is like those 2 trilogies are just, I love them both. So they're my favorites.
Okay. All right, so I have my answer now.
Good.
And so with me, I'm gonna have to give Spider-Man the number 1 spot, because for me, with Iron Man and Captain America, they were both really good stories, and the only thing is they never hit me on the emotional level that Spider-Man hit me on.
I could see that.
And like you said, with the whole Captain America, how it introduces a bunch of characters within the trilogy of it, I mean, it was good, but I mean, I think for me, it would probably be Spider-Man, Captain America, Thor, and then Iron Man. And I feel bad about putting Iron Man that low on the tier list, but the thing with Iron Man is, like, the Iron Man 3 was really awesome in the fact of him having all those armors come to do everything. But I never really, like, why are you doing it that?
I'm gonna let you finish your thought before I layeth the smackdown. Go ahead and finish your thought.
The only reason I'm putting Thor ahead of Iron Man is because with Thor Ragnarok, it took Chris Hemsworth really turned Thor's character around and like really sold me on the fact that he can be exactly what he needs to be if he needs to do the whole like little quirky one-liners or not even the quirky one-liners, just his usual barbarian one-liners, I should say. And just wanting to fight. I think it was good character development to the fact from when he started out as the first Thor movie up until Ragnarok. Ragnarok, he's a completely different person. He witnessed both his parents passing away. That really changes somebody. And on top of that, he doesn't even want to rule his people anymore. So he's kind of just like, he gave it away and, ditched it. Which they do make a mention to New Asgard in Spider-Man No Way Home about some kind of scuffle between Valkyrie and the people. Apparently, I guess her rules have an issue or something.
Where was this?
It was in the. It was
Far From Home?
Yeah, it was in Far From Home, or
Far
it was
From
in
Home.
No Way Home.
You sure it was in No Way Home?
When they were doing the end thing with Spider-Man telling on the Daily Bugle thing, saying like, "Oh, if you guys want me, I'm here." At the bottom on the news bulletins
it
going
was an
through.
Easter egg. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it said something about New Asgard and the people revolting or something like that, or rioting.
Something. Probably we're going to see that in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah. But so yeah, and that basically wraps up my thought about that.
So let me defend Captain America. As big of a Batman fan is, if you truly know me, I'm a much bigger Robin fan than Batman. Mm-hmm. And Dick Grayson is the original sidekick. Without Dick Grayson, we wouldn't have sidekicks. And it really stemmed from the 66 series. And then Bruce Timm's animated Batman the Animated Series, which everyone should know, and you damn well better know if you're going to be on my show. Because I'll talk about it for hours, but it really highlighted Dick Grayson's story and told it in a really unique way about his parents being murdered at the circus, way better than Batman Forever did. Batman Forever did a great job. It's my favorite childhood it's my favorite childhood movie because it has Robin in it, not my favorite Batman 90s movie. That's Batman Returns. But I'm getting sidetracked on Batman. But sidekicks, I love sidekicks. Robin is more of a favorite of mine. It's like a secret, not so secret favorite of mine, more so than Batman. So this introduction of Bucky and the Winter Soldier, learning about Bucky was Captain America's sidekick in the comic books, not just one of these, his best friend and like one of these, because he was with a whole group of guys that was their unit. It wasn't like he was rescuing his unit. I didn't know that was his sidekick. Like he was rescuing his sidekick. That makes it so much more of a personal relationship. That's like his brother, his best friend. So Winter Soldier hit me on such a deep emotional level where I've seen so many times where like Superman has gone evil, or like, Clark in Smallville would go evil, or like Green Arrow would go evil, and they're like, we got to put him down, man. He's evil. We got to put him down. And they're like, no, That's our friend in there. We have to save him. And the fact that Cap is just like, I've got to say Bucky, despite everyone else coming against him. And then the whole implosion of Hydra was S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time, dude. Oh, and then you lose your argument, sir, because the Russo brothers brought Captain America into the most martial arts badass I've ever seen in my freaking life, man. Those fight scenes, despite being sped up, are just, they're practical. They're live, real fights. They're not CGI. It's not a guy in an iron suit flying around shooting lasers at a giant monster. It's real dudes fighting it out. Choreography like I've never seen before. The knives are flying. Black Widow's, oh my gosh. That opening sequence when he takes out that whole boat, I was like,
yeah, that was awesome to see him go through there and subdue everybody.
I'm like, there's more movie after this? That was like an end of a movie scene at the beginning, which we usually don't get. And it was way better than anything I saw in Iron Man 3. Now, I rewatched Iron Man 3, and I did bump up my rating on it. I gave it a real harsh rating because my heart was broken after Avengers. It was a total crash. It's a buzzkill. But, so that's why Captain America, another reason Cap is my favorite trilogy. I will give you Thor, now that I'm thinking about it. There is a saving grace to Dark World. And as terrible a movie as it is, and bad dialogue and jokes that don't land, a different director, a different soundtrack that was stupid and really pissed me off that they changed Thor's theme. Why would you do that? And Zachary Levi was randomly placed as one of the Asgard warriors. He wasn't in the first movie. What the hell is Zachary Levi doing with blonde hair and a fake British accent? Get him out of here. I love Zach. Love Zach. Shazam. Love it. But he did not belong in that movie. So glad he died because that was terrible. The first guy was awesome. He actually went on to do Once Upon a Time. I found out the ABC show about the Disney villains.
Yeah, no, that's a good show.
He was Prince Charming, but that he probably landed that role because of Thor. He was so good in Thor. But I hate Iron Man 3. I hate Thor: The Dark World. So those two are neck and neck with each other. I will give Thor the edge. The winning factor is Loki. Loki is fantastic in that movie, especially when his mother dies, and the fact that you find out that he was really an emotional mess the whole time was like, whoa.
Yeah, when the illusion came off and you just see the cell just in shambles, you're like, whoa.
So I'll give you Thor over Iron Man, definitely. Dude, so we've come down to the end. We've got to give it a rating. Now, with me, you can do let me just tell you how I do mine, and then you can kind of go. You can either go on your own or you can go based off of my format.
Mm-hmm.
So I give a nerd rating of how much did I nerd out. And that's easily 1 to 5 stars. Nerd. Full nerd. Went 5 million. If I'm going to look at it as a film aspect, I usually try to go 1 to 10 to give more brackets kind of for rating. Mm-hmm. So 1 to 10, like I stated the things that I was upset about, the things that kind of, like you said, took me out of it temporarily. But for the most part, I was in it all the time. As a film, I want to give it a 10. I've got to knock it back down to a 9 out of 10 for the missed opportunity of doing the fight in the daytime, and a few other, the changing of Spider-Man suits to sell toys. That is disappointing to me. So you lose a point for that. So 9 out of 10. I'm going to just say to my fans, it's safe for kids to watch. The violence gets a little aggressive, so maybe 7 and up, maybe 8 and up, or just skip over that scene. Don't know. Watch it first, and then you determine what you want to do with it. The cursing was real minimal. I didn't really hear any kind of heavy cursing. There's no F words. It still is a Disney movie. So that's usually how I rate my films. So you can rate it however you want.
I will give it also 9 out of 10, but I'm going to give it 9 rupees.
That's nice. I like that. So what is the knockdown factor there?
So the knockdown factor for me is kind of what you were saying about the toys, because the one thing that really ruined the movie for me is the fact that Marvel and Disney were releasing toys way before the movie was even released. They spoiled what the costumes looked like. They spoiled some of the character reveals. So it really ruined the movie for me. So for that aspect of them kind of rushing marketing and stuff like that, I'm going to have to say they lost a point for that for me, because I as much as I look forward to seeing these movies, when they start to spoil them intentionally, that's when I start to get angry and upset about it.
Nice. So I thought of a challenge for us, since this was kind of a given. I thought we could try to rate the Venom movies, since we talked about them. I never did a review for either of them. But I felt like the first one I need to do a rewatch, because I hadn't seen it in a long time. But so a challenge for us would be try to rate either the Venom movies individually or as a together overall, both of them, as we both agreed, they have many flaws. So I think that would be more of a challenge, like a what do you call it, like a brain teaser. What would you rate either the two Venom? You can decide either them individually or as a collective whole.
So as a collective whole, because it's basically
the same movie.
It's a continuation, and I don't feel like there was any time skip or anything between the first and second movie. So with that being said, I'm gonna probably give that a what should I give it? I'll give it maybe like a 6, because as entertaining as it was to watch, it just kept taking me out with the horrible one-liners that didn't stick at all, and the fact that the Venom wasn't acting like the Venom that we're used to. It was more of a kind of Deadpool Venom type of character, and it kind of took me out of the immersion with that, because I wanted to see the Venom from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man,
Really?
where he was wanting to murder people. Not
he wanted to eat brains.
Well, he was running around calling himself the Lethal Protector. So I mean,
well, Venom. I mean, you know better than anyone else. They turned Venom into an anti-hero. So
yeah.
So they're really working that angle so people will like the movies more, rather than just a guy who's angry at Spider-Man and wants to kill people because
Yeah, and they're just I feel like with the Venom, they're just trying to copy the whole Deadpool thing with the anti-Venom and just trying to make him really funny and stuff, but it's not working.
So is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Sweet, thanks. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna do collective. Now, did you have a nerd rating, or are you just gonna go overall film?
I would just went with the overall film.
Overall, okay. I wondered, but I wasn't sure. So, so my nerd rating is at a 2.5 because I love Tom Hardy. that's really the only credit, and the humor. But that's not really nerd related. The fact that it's taken out of the MCU it's a huge wasted opportunity in my opinion, and it really pisses me off. So unless that changes, it's going to remain at a 2.5 for both films. It's an interesting story. The first one about how there's more than just one symbiote and kind of what they're trying to set up. I appreciate that, but it's not really interesting. Carnage was not anything special. It was definitely not worth waiting years for. Woody Harrelson's portrayal is just terrible. It's horrible. It's not convincing. It just looks like Woody Harrelson being Woody Harrelson. And I mean, Carnage should be truly terrifying. Cassius Clay, is that his name?
Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus Cassidy. Sorry, Cassius Clay was Muhammad Ali. Sorry. Cletus Cassidy, that's a hard one, was a truly terrifying human being, Joker level of scary as a person. Carnage was even worse. So this Carnage was really just like, the best part was like, oh, that's a red one? You didn't tell me it was a red one. We don't mess with red ones. That was the best part. So as a film, 1 to 10, I think 6 is very generous. I would say I want to say it's a 2. I want to say it's a 1, but it's about a 2 out of 10 as far as films go. You really can't just give it points for being funny, for being Tom Hardy's good acting. CGI is okay. I love the effect of the head and the teeth coming over the face. So I'll give it another one. I'll give it 3. Because CGI is all right. But like I said, just 3 out of 10. Interested to see what they do with a third one. I was entertained, like you said. It was entertaining. I went to go see it. It was entertaining. I didn't regret seeing it. It's definitely not a movie I'm going to own. It's definitely something that is available on streaming, and I'll watch it for free. Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm buying because I already have Homecoming. I like to buy the Marvel movies. I don't like to leave them on Disney+.
February 28th is when it comes out, my friend.
Sweet. I will try to get on that, and my son is over the moon excited for it because now he wants to go back and watch the original ones. He's like, I want to watch Doc Ock and Green Goblin and the Lizard, and I'm like, yes, finally time. My time is come.
We will mold him.
We will, yes. We can make him better, faster, stronger.
We have the technology.
We have the technology, exactly. So, I definitely recommend you buy it, own it, steal it, download it, whatever you got to do. Watch it, love it. Next projects, Mobius got, is it Mobius or Morbius?
Morbius.
Morbius. I keep saying Mobius. Morbius got pushed back to what, June or July?
It's either, I think it might be April or June. One of those two.
All right. So either way, that's pushed back. We just had Hawkeye. Did you watch Hawkeye?
I did. It was pretty good.
Okay, we can do a Hawkeye review if you want. If not, I understand. It wasn't. It didn't give us a lot to talk about, but still, I would. It's a Disney Plus show, so I enjoy doing the Disney Plus reviews. I know I did one on like overall. I did one of them, which I think was WandaVision, and then I briefly mentioned. I don't remember, guys, but we can do it again if you want. At one point, something I never got to do is take all of my phases, Marvel phases 1 through 3, actual physical movies that I have, and like separate them and break them down, like which ones, like kind of rank them in order of my favorites. Mm-hmm. I haven't able to do that. You mentioned you've seen Endgame so many times. I never got to do an Endgame review. So if you guys And if you, Rupee, want to do an Endgame review, we can definitely do that. That's a 3-hour movie. That's probably going to be another 2-hour episode. I love that
If
movie
not
so
longer.
much. If not longer, right? So, and I don't need to rewatch that. Like you said, I could do that right now. But it's late, so I got to shut this down. Is there anyone that you want to give shout outs to or mention?
I mean, Nick and Chelsea, if you're watching, shout out to you if you made it this far. But other than that, if you guys want to, I don't know, look me up on my Instagram. It's Rupee Graphics. Hit me up on there, and you'll see some cool artwork.
So I'm changing all of my social media names to Daytona Mike, so it's easier to search. It's Daytona Mike on Instagram, Daytona Mike on YouTube now. It's Daytona Mike 24. On Instagram, I think it's Daytona Mike 924. Just put the 9 in front of it. I don't have paid sponsorships, but because of an interview I did last year with Ward Burton, I always like to mention that I bought a Groove Life belt to support his son, Jeb Burton. I love these belts. They're perfect for heavyset guys like us. Clicks in there, the magnetic lock. They also make rings, and they make gun holsters, I think. So groovelife.com, get you a Groove belt. They're a little expensive, but they last, and you get a lifetime warranty. So if anything happens to it, just say, hey, I need a new one. I'll send you a new one. So I love that thing. I do want to give thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for saving me from depression, anxiety, and suicide. And I would like to just respectfully and just reach out if anyone's listening and you're suffering and you feel like you're alone and you want to give up. Call this number, 1-800-525-5683. Push 1 to speak with a pastor. Someone will talk to you. They'll listen to you. They won't judge you. You can tell them whatever. It's confidential, whatever you're going through, and they will pray for you. So reach out. It's not weakness to ask for help or say, I need help. I feel like I can't do this. So make sure you reach out to someone. There is always someone that cares about you and wants you around. So I love you all. As there was only 1 to 2 people watching this whole time. I think we got up to 3 at one point. I was like, oh, we got 3. Rupee, let me just say thank you to you, bro, for agreeing to do this. It's really hard to do these on my own. And this is just a really great feeling that someone else enjoys this stuff as much as I do. Like, we used to watch a movie together. We'd go to opening night, and then we'd spend like an hour or 2 breaking down everything we loved about it as a collective group. I don't have those friends anymore. So this is my way of, when someone asks me, hey, Mike, what'd you think of Spider-Man? I'm like, send them the link. Here you go. Watch my review.
Exactly. Because I'll be honest, when I'm at work, I'll pop in a podcast. I'll have it just playing in the background. So, I mean, if you're just listening to the audio of us talking about Spider-Man, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
That works too. As long as you listen, you comment, you like, you subscribe, and follow, and look up Rupee, whatever you said, Rupee on Instagram.
Rupee Graphics.
Rupee Graphics. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Look forward to our next project. Rupee and I are going to Tate's Comics in Fort Lauderdale tomorrow. Hope to see you there. Have a great night. God bless you all. Jesus loves you, man. Take care. Thanks, Rupee.
You're welcome.